Hey, and welcome to another episode of Back from the Future, where we talk about technology from the past, present, and future. Now, today we're going to be talking about 3D printer filaments, especially the one that's just been released by Bambu Labs. Now, this one is called basically Bambu Labs Basic PETG. Now, this is a re-release of sorts because PETG Basic was originally released in 2023 when the X1 came out and the P1/P1S printers came out. And then it got discontinued in 2024 and replaced by PETG HF, which stands for high flow. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it took me by complete surprise, Bambu Labs re-released it again, but they've improved it for March 2026. So what are the improvements of this new re-released printer filament? It has increased strength, same as PLA, but doesn't have the inherent brittleness of PETG HF. It's got higher mechanical strength and bonding strength of 75 MPa, which stands for megapascals. Printability is better than regular PETG because it's less sensitive to moisture and reduced stringing, and also less oozing as well. Now, PETG Basic and PETG HF serve two fundamental different functions. PETG Basic has more structural power, is more of a structural powerhouse, has a glossy look to it, which I'm not too keen on because you see more of the layer lines are more pronounced, but it does address the mechanical softness of PETG HF. Now, PETG HF is a high-speed production filament, so if you've got a print farm, it is ideal for printing out non-load bearing objects like a flower pot or something like that, and it's ideal because the printer can work at a faster rate. Now, the mechanical, if we're going to go through the mechanical specs of PETG Basics and versus PETG HF. If we look at the properties, the bending strength, we've got 75 MPa versus PETG high flow of 64. We've got build strength, 56 megapascals versus PETG's 48. We've got bending modulus, which is 1950, and PETG HF is slightly higher. We've got impact strength, which is PETG Basic is higher at 34.2 kilojoules versus 31 of the PETG HF. We got tensile strength of 51 versus PETG HF's 34 megapascals. Now, here's the most interesting thing as well. The print speed is slower at 200 millimeters a second, while PETG HF is 300 millimeters a second. Max volumetric flow is 13 to 15 millimeters a second versus PETG HF, which is considerably higher at 21. Heat resistance is just slightly lower at 68 to 71 degrees centigrade, whereas PETG HF is 69. And again, as we mentioned before, the surface finish is glossy and high luster versus the HF, which has a matte satin type look, which is what I'm more after. So why should we choose PETG Basic? Functional mechanical parts, outdoor tools, items that need to flex before breaking, and that has a glossy finish. You choose PETG HF for rapid prototyping aesthetic models where you'd want to hide layer lines and parts where the print time is the most critical factor. Now, if we now compare PETG Basic to Bambu Lab's ABS, now the interesting thing is I print a lot of stuff in ABS because I need to have a strong functional part that is heat resistant, so if it's used outdoors or in a car type environment, it will keep its strength and stop itself from deforming. So let's look at the two on the table and see how they compare. This is the mechanical thermal comparison of PETG Basic versus Bambu Lab's ABS. Tensile strength is 51 megapascals versus the ABS at 30 to 45 megapascals. Impact resistant, the PETG Basic is higher at 34.2 kilojoules, whereas the ABS, depending on certain various factors which I'm not too sure about, it says 20 to 40 kilojoules. Heat resistant, PETG Basic is 70 degrees, whereas ABS, which has the advantage of 100 degrees, I mean you can leave this stuff out in the baking sun without worrying about any deformations. Warping tendency on PETG Basic is very low, whereas Bambu Labs is very high. That's why when you're printing ABS products, they've got to be in an enclosed environment with extremely high heat. Layer adhesion is excellent on PETG Basics, but with Bambu Labs it's moderate because sometimes it's prone to deforming and it can lift at the corners, which can be an absolute royal pain in the backside. UV resistant, it's good for outdoors, whereas the ABS has poor UV resistance and can turn yellow or brittle. Now the other thing that you need to consider if you're using this new filament is that you need to make sure you have the latest version of Bambu Studio, which is 2.5.0.66, and then you make sure you get the preset update, which is BBL250 1.4, and that should automatically come up and alert you, and you just press OK. And the thing is, when you have a look at that update, which should pop up on your screen, you'll see right at the bottom, number 3, it says update the parameters of Bambu Lab PETG Basic to ensure compatibility with the all new Bambu Lab PETG Basic. And you can also check when you go into the studio and you look at the filament setting, it actually says Bambu Labs PETG Basic. Now I'm looking at doing a comparison between the PETG Basic, the PETG HF, ABS, and the PETG CF carbon fibre. And I'm going to be doing tests on this because I've got projects coming up. Hopefully I'm going to be making a video on that, and I'll let you know what my findings are. But I do know that off the top of the bat, the Bambu Labs PETG CF is a beast of a filament, but you're almost paying 3 times as much. If you look at the prices, I believe the ABS, the high flow, and the basic, if you buy 10 rolls without a spool, it comes to £10.50 UK. So it's got to be the equivalent, $10–11 in the States. However, the PETG carbon fibre filament comes in at almost 3 times the price. but also what it does is apparently it's very good at hiding the layer lines, but you also need a hardened steel nozzle for that. So we're going to be covering all that hopefully in a future video. Actually, I've got to get my order in, because the other frustrating thing about ordering Bambu Lab's filament is there's always something out of stock, and I've noticed that PETG HF is always out of stock, especially on the colours you need, especially for me, which is black. So I've got to get my, I mean, if you've got a print farm, that is an absolute pain in the backside if you can't get the filament and you've got orders up to the up to the sky. So these things, you might have to go with something made by a polymaker or Sunlu as an alternative, which is an absolute pain. Now that's it for today's video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.
If you liked this video, please feel free to subscribe to our channel, press the bell notification button, and get notified when a new video comes out. Please leave a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, please leave comments and let us know what your thoughts and suggestions are for future videos.
And we will see you in the future, if there is one.